Hey everyone, Warwick's here. So we're doing the last spec for Monk, Mistweaver Monks, Soulbinds, and Conduits. Like the Windwalker Monk, we're just going to touch on the best ones and not going over every single one like we did in the Brewmaster video. So be on the lookout. Go back and watch either of those videos if you're interested in either of the specs. The Brewmaster one's kind of long and I apologize for that. I thought it would be cool to go through all of them, but then I realized after I posted the video that it's just really long. It has a bunch of useless information in it, so I apologize. I may redo it eventually, but just kind of skip through as fast as you can. I'll probably go back in and put timestamps in and things like that so you can skip ahead to your covenant of choice. But today, now, Mistweaver Monk. So we're going to talk about endurance, finesse, and potency conduits as you see on the screen here. And then we're going to talk about the best Soulbinds for each one, as we're here on the Icy Veins website. Before we get into all of this though, as always with YouTube video guys, you hear me say this every time and I'm so sorry, but it really does help. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below if you have any feedback on this video and if you want to support the channel. It costs you nothing to subscribe to my YouTube channel, but it offers me a lot of the support to keep going. As of this recording, I think I'm up over 70 subscribers now, so I'm closing in on the triple digit mark, and I would really love to get there about the time that I have this goal for my Twitch stream, which you can see now I have about 12 worshippers, 12 worshippers, I'm playing Smite in my brain. I have 12 followers on Twitch. I'd like to get to 20 by the end of March on Twitch, but I'd love to see about getting to 100 subscribers on YouTube as well. So definitely give me a lot of that support, guys. I really, really appreciate it. And I just want to thank you all for the support that you guys have given me so far. So let's get into it. Let's start with endurance conduits. For Mistweaver Monk, endurance conduits are actually pretty weak. The only one that's really any good is fortifying ingredients, giving you a shield on your fortifying brew, so making your defensive cooldown even more potent. If you have to do 2 defensive conduits, grounding breath is going to be the next one. You'd think this one would be really, really good, but someone found out that grounding breath has a 1-minute internal cooldown on its mana reset, so it doesn't proc nearly as much as it really would, as you would like to see it happen, even with the kind of insulting mana reduction costs coming in 9.0.5. This would have been nice to have it on a little bit of a faster internal cooldown, maybe go down to like 30 seconds, and I think that would make it a much more valuable endurance conduit, particularly for Mistweaver Monks. The rest of these 2 are for Brewmaster Monks, and you don't really use Harm Denial at all as a Mistweaver. It's just really not worth the mana to cast when you could be doing other things. So Harm Denial you won't ever really see. For finesse conduits, any of these work. Pick one for the situation that you like. I default to Dizzying Tumble, but all 4 of these are going to have uses. Figure out what situation they're going to work best in for you and pick at any one. They're all very good. All right, and for potency conduits, so the Covenant ones, so Bone Marrow Hops, Imbued Reflections, Strike with Clarity, and Way of the Fae. None of them are actually all that great from Mistweaver Monk, particularly because there's 2 other ones that are really powerful, with a 3rd one that is actually pretty solid as well if you can't get one of the top 2. So what are those top 2? The first one, Resplendent Mist. Gust of Mists, your mastery has a 30% chance to do extra healing, so just makes mastery a little bit more valuable as a stat, and it makes the mastery even more potent when it happens. So just really pushes your throughput a lot, which is what Mistweaver is really known for right now, is just pushing out the healing, a lot like Holy Priest, but this just makes that healing overall better. The other one is Rising Sun Revival. So when you use Rising Sun Kick, your revival cooldown is reduced by 1 second, and revival heals targets for a number of health over a period of 10 seconds after revival procs off. So it gives you a good big healing cooldown to dispel and do a big bulk of healing, and then you also will do healing over time afterwards. So both of these just really push your healing output. The 3rd one, Jade Bond. So abilities that activate Gust of Mist reduce the cooldown on Yu'lon or Chi-Ji by 0.3 seconds, and Soothing Breath is increased by that amount on the end there as well. I'd like to see this maybe go to half a second like Walk with the Ox does, and I think that'd make it a little bit better. The other thing that I really would hope to see, that maybe it comes in 9.1, is something that supports fist weaving, something that that boosts your abilities. So like if your target has an ability that procs Gust of Mist, your Rising Sun Kick or your Blackout Kick will do X amount of extra damage, or you're able to do 4 Blackout Kicks with Teachings of the Monastery, something like that helps boost the damage of Windwalker Monk, or Mistweaver Monk, because it's really fallen out of favor to Dispriest and to Holy Paladin, in the healing to do damage category. And I think that's a really good place for Mistweaver Monk to end up, but they just need a big damage boost in order to do that. I don't know if you just explode the numbers on the offensive abilities, or you do potency conduits that can help support that, because I would easily replace Riding Sun Revival for a Fist Weaving specific potency conduit, but fingers crossed, maybe we get something in 9.1. So let's move on to Soulbinds. For Kyrians, you want Clea. For raid builds in particular, you value crit and burst. For Mythic Plus, you kind of look at eye level for the most part. So because you stack crit, getting this is really good, giving you a little bit of extra healing. And when you do crit heals, you know, you get those stacks. So just going to be very good. Then you go into your Resplendent Mists, into Mentorship. This is good if you keep yourself topped off, if you're not taking a lot of damage in Mythic Plus. This is good to just kind of get in there and hang out, but both of these abilities I think are fairly weak, but it is what it is. Dizzying Tumble is what I default to here. These two, either one of these are kind of meh. I'll go with Cleansing Rites just because getting a 10% of your maximum health shield after you exiting combat is good for World Quest, somewhat good for Mythic Plus as well. Into Fortifying Ingredients. And unfortunately you do run Grounding Breath here because Pointed Courage is really good, giving you extra crit, which synergizes well with Valiant Strikes. Just works out well. Bearer's Pursuit is just not very good. Now, if they swapped like Resonant Accolades with Bearer's Pursuit, you'd probably go here. But for now, Pointed Courage is the best one. So you sacrifice a Potency Conduit, you don't get the Revival one, but you still get good natural passive healing on Gust of Mists. You get some interesting synergies with your crit. This is just a really good Soulbind. Pelagus does a lot of versatility boosting and mastery boosting, which is not ideal. And Forge Light Prime Micah Nikos does a lot of more defensive builds, which are not good for Mistweaver Monk. For Night Fae, Dreamweaver feels like it's made for this. So Pod Tender, of course, we all know what Pod Tender does. Here, I'd actually go into go into Fortifying Ingredients, into Nourishing Chi, into Empowered Chrysalis. You'd think Social Butterfly versatility is not really there, but Empowered Chrysalis, when you overheal, that overheal remains on as a shield for 5 seconds on the caster's health, so it just helps with a little bit of mitigation, helps your mana out. And as a Mistweaver Monk, because your throughput is so high, you do have a tendency to overheal a little bit and then go from there. So here we go with Dizzying Tumble into Grounding Breath, and then I would go with Fairy Dust. When you fall, you know, both of these are fine, but the last ability, Field of Blossoms, really good because you're going to be in the pack with as a Mistweaver, applying Mystic Touch and trying to use Rising Sun Kick at the very least on cooldown, and you're going to get a lot of value out of Feline Stomp as well. So getting that extra haste, good for your Rising Sun Kick cooldown, good for your Essence Font channel ticks. Haste is just a pretty good stat overall. So this build is where I'd go here. You can switch these out if you wanted to go a second Endurance Conduit for any reason, or second Finesse Conduit. You could go this build way as well, but I just think this is going to be the best setup for Night Fae. Corrin and Naya both are really weak, so luckily for monks, you want Naya for Windwalker, you want Corrin for Brewmaster, so you don't have to worry about sharing a Soulbind for your specs, so you can really hard in on Mistweaver for Dreamweaver and get your build set up the way that you want it to. For Necrolords, Ameni is pretty good. Actually, all three of them are pretty good for different reasons. So Ameni gives you big intellect boost when you use Bone Dust Brew, and then you want to come down to the bottom and go with Gristled Toes, just get a little bit of movement speed. Bonesmith Emir gives you intellect with, you get the Gore Stompers, which is good for movement, and then Plague Deviser Marilith focuses a lot on Fleshcraft, but Ultimate Form is going to be really good if you can get a lot of channels off, which is a Mistweaver Monk. You can probably do that in intermission phases, or if you're handling a mechanic, you get tossed out, maybe you Essence Font out, and then you do your Fleshcraft while you're doing this, so you take advantage of all the mixtures of Fleshcraft. I'd say Bonesmith Emir for the permanent intellect boost, but with Fleshcraft getting overhauled in 9.0.5, Plague Deviser Marilith is going to become a very interesting option. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that, and I will go back and do an update video on all of these if things change once 9.0.5 starts to get closer to release and all the changes that are in there are a little bit more finalized. And finally, for Venthyr, Theotar the Mad Duke. Get you a mastery buff here, which is good, into either Watch the Shoes for Roots and Snare Freeman or Leisurely Gait for 2 charges, but you get a 30-second increased cooldown. You can pick either one of these, so we'll just go Fortifying Ingredients. Actually, no, screw this. We're gonna undo. We'll go here for this because you're gonna have to have a potency or an endurance conduit here. Theotar has double potency conduit. He's one of the few ones that does. So we'll just go this, and then you go into Fortifying Ingredients, into Rising Sun Revival, into Token of Appreciation. Excuse me. So Theotar's very, very good if you're Venthyr. Like ridiculously good for Venthyr. You get mastery bonus, you get granting a shield, you get double potency. He's just overall the best. If you have to go with the second, you go Nagia for the haste on Thrill Seeker, but she falls very far behind once you get past like this level. The bottom of her tree is just not great for Mistweaver, whereas these 3 right here are valuable in every situation. So that is Mistweaver, Soulbinds, and Conduits. So to recap, Theotar the Mad Duke for Venthyr, Necrolord, Bonesmith, Ymir, with Plague Divisor potentially being a sneaky good option. For Night Fae, Dreamweaver, nothing else. And for Kyrian, Clea. So that ends the Soulbinds and Conduits series here for Monks. I'm lumping it in with the Beginner's Guide to Monk series. So I'm looking at potentially doing another Beginner's Guide on a different class. I'm working on leveling a Paladin and learning the classes for those. Just had a lot of fun playing that class. As a very different form of tank healer DPS than what Monk is. So I'll probably do a guide on them. That probably won't happen until after 9.1 though, just because I need some time to learn, particularly Holy Paladin. But in the meantime, I'll be doing dungeon run videos. I'm going to upload every +10 and above that I do as I'm pushing towards KSM. And also any new kills coming up. We just killed Unnerva Darkbane, and we're working on Sun King Salvation in Heroic, so we're looking at 6 of 10. So making good progress. Hopefully we can get ahead of the curve before 9.1 releases. Our guild's thoughts are that it's probably going to be late April into May before that happens, with 9.0.5 coming out in March. So we've got time, but we're definitely trying to get as much of a push going on as possible, and looking forward to that. So come join me on Twitch to follow those. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, 9:30 to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday and Thursday are the raid nights in particular if you want to watch that. But definitely make sure you guys follow the channels, follow the YouTube, like, share, subscribe, comment. Give me any feedback, guys. I'd love to hear from you guys on what you think about this series, and if there's any other class that you want me to potentially be looking into in the future. So until the next video, all, I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all wear your masks, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great week.